Hello YouTube, this is Ace Venom at Unseen Legions DIY, and today I'm going to show you how to put together a simple Bikelight system from scratch using spare parts that I scavenged from discarded electronics. Here's what you'll need: a soldering iron and solder, a hot glue gun and glue, scissors, or a utility knife or one of those art knife pens like a scalpel. You'll need a pen or a pencil, some thin cardboard or poster board, something to mount it onto. I'm using a plastic egg that you can get out of those little toy machines that your kids tend to spend all your money on. They pump quarters into them like there's no tomorrow. This is what it looks like. 5 super bright white LEDs, 5 red LEDs, super bright if you can get them. I'm just using the standard red because that's what I have on hand. You'll need 2 220 ohm resistors, a PBNO push button, the kind that stay on after a click until you turn it off, some wire to connect the whole thing together, and don't forget your battery. I'll be using a standard 9 volt, but the system should be able to run a little while on considerably less. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is get your piece of cardboard. I got this from a wireless USB keyboard. The whole thing doesn't have to be terribly pretty, but either way, you're going to take your mounting thing that you're putting it on, my egg in this case, and draw a circle around it, because you're going to be cutting that piece out. So after you get that drawn on, you're going to want to cut that out, and at the very end you're going to want to put some holes in it, kind of like this one. This is the one that I made earlier for the front. On my front one I actually put some reflective aluminum foil tape on the front, which isn't absolutely necessary, but it can help a little bit with the appearance. When you get that put together, what you want to do is take your LEDs and pop them through the little holes, and however many LEDs you're using, I'm using 5. You want to have them spaced out so that you've got this, see if you can see it a little better here. Got this look on the front with the LED popping out. Now when you go to wire your LEDs, make sure that you've got your positive and negative correct for your wiring. And the way to tell, since this is a scavenged LED, the way to tell is that on the, let's see, no, that's too blurry. On one of the sides it'll be flat, that'll be this side, and that's your negative side. You always want to put your negative to the negative of the battery, and then your positive to a resistor first before you plug it in. The reason for that is if you reverse wire an LED, in a lot of cases, in fact almost all of them, especially if you're using like a 9 volt battery like I am, it will burn out the LED. So next you want to place your LEDs into the piece of cardboard after you've drilled out the holes and whatnot. I have mine placed so that the negative of each LED, except for that middle one, is facing the outside, and the positive is facing the inside. And what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to create a ring of wire connecting all of the negative sides of the LEDs together. So it's going to be a circle, and then the negative side of this will connect over that onto the negative of one of those. The positive will connect to the positive. We're going to wire those in a circle just like we are with the negative sides of the LED. At the very end it's going to look a little something like that, and I'm going to try and provide a slightly more clear picture. This one is the backlight. I already pre-made most of it. I'll be attaching it. I actually had a smaller cone of plastic that I harvested from a old package that had that on there for whatever reason that I don't honestly remember. When I'm done with that, I'm going to place it I believe in here like that, so it diffuses some of the light a little bit, and then I'm going to glue this circle that we just drew onto the back of that. So I had actually made a smaller circle of cardboard for this one. How you decide to mount yours is totally up to you. Okay, so I've got the tips of all the red wires tinned, which means you put a little bit of solder on the end of it, creates a small ball on the end of the wire that you can easily melt into the solder on the end of the LED that you've hopefully tinned as well. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder the positive wires all together in a circle here, and then I'll show you that in just a sec. So as you can kind of see, I've wired the red wires to the positive LEDs, because you know your standard red is power, black is ground. So we've got the positive LEDs all wired except for that middle one, which I'm going to do very last. That way I can avoid complications and short circuits to that fifth LED here. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to wire the ground LEDs all in a circle around the outside of that red ring. Alright, so I got the ground wires all wired in a circle around the positive wires here in red. The last thing I need to do for this part of the wiring is to wire the positive and ground of that center LED, which I'm just going to do a positive straight to the side and then a negative hopping over, or maybe zigzag around so I don't accidentally short circuit it over there. Afterwards I'm going to wire the resistor into the red wire from here, and try and hang it off the side, and then that one on the opposite side for the ground wire to come out, which will be hanging out the back of this. So by the end of it, this will be sitting right in there as sort of like a reflective LED holder, so it'll kind of direct it. Okay, so I've got all of my main soldering done on this part. As you can kind of see here, we've got the red wires in the center, the black wires on the outside, red and black jumping over from that center one to its respective red and black counterparts there. We've got your 220 ohm resistor wired into one of the red wire connections. Remember not to allow that to touch the black as well, or you're just going to short it, which means the connection won't be made to the LED and no light will happen. We've got your black wire sticking out on the side for ground, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to cover this part here entirely in hot glue. That way no short circuits are going to be possible, no matter how much this thing fiddles or moves around. Afterwards I'm going to drill some holes through here, or you can do it with a knife, just be real careful. Wire those in through the back, and then we're going to wire up or connect it to the bicycle, and at the very end we'll wire in the switch. I've got this push button switch here, which who knows where I got it, and we'll hook the backlight up too. I got all of the backing of this covered in hot glue, and then I drilled some holes through the back of here. What we're going to do is we're going to take this white and black wire that I've got, white for hot, black for ground obviously, and we're going to run it through these two holes so that you've got that sticking out here. Solder them in place to their respective power and ground, and then we're going to glue this in place, well, afterwards, down into here, and I might give it like a plastic covering so that nothing gets into the wiring on the LEDs, and then cover that with glue. Afterwards we're going to mount that to the front of the bicycle, connect our switch between the two sides of the power, and then connect the front light and the back light, which I already have assembled here. hiding in that. We've got the backing glued on there already. And then we're just going to mount everything to the bike, turn it on, make sure it works. Quick note, when you're soldering this, after you've got it partially attached to the bike, so I've got my 9-volt battery clip here where you can attach the 9-volt. You want to solder the other wires in parallel to this first system for the backlight, or else the thing just will not turn on. So what I'm going to do, since I've got my first wire up here glued down already, is I'm actually going to unglue the connection where the button meets the front light here. And then I'm going to solder this wire that connects to the backlight, which I'll show you shortly. I'll solder that into that first connection, and then this black wire here I'm going to solder into the connection where the front light meets the battery itself instead of to the switch. That way when you push this button, it'll turn on both the front and the back at the same time. Okay, so I've got the whole thing all hooked up and wired to the bike. Burned myself a little bit on the hot glue waterproofing the backlight, but you know, no big deal, it happens. So here is the system. We've got the front light on there. You can kind of see that. We've got the back light wired back here. You can see it there. Now I'm going to turn it on with the front switch. Turn off my light, and the power source I'm using right now is a modified computer power source, so it does blink on and off. It's not a steady one. I was going to use the 9-volt, but the battery's about dead, so we'll get a fresh one going later. And the very last thing I'm going to do to it is I've got an old Pringles top that I'm going to use as a lens for the front light. Let me show you what the light system looks like all powered up. There's the front, and here's the back. So that should be bright enough for driving at night. So not too terribly bad at all. Didn't cost me anything extra. I used spare electronics that I dug out of the dumpster for just about everything. Everything but my LED, or not the LEDs, but the resistor, which is the only thing I paid for. That and my hot glue. You know, no big deal. Anyhow, pleasure seeing all of you online. I hope you liked the video. Please like and subscribe. Once again, Unseen Legions DIY. Have a great day, guys.